Hello, everyone. Good morning, and welcome back to Total Football Talk. So we're going to look at all the latest news coming out of Manchester United, and as always, there are doozies. And starting with the big one, obviously, Ahmad has put out a cryptic text message. The old eye emojis have kind of gone up, and I do believe that that is because he is back for a return, potentially even in April. Now, I was listening to Forever United TV this morning, and Adam Matic's sort of inside knowledge within United, and he was talking about it today, and he's already been saying that normally the Ahmad wouldn't be allowed to put a post out like this unless it was pretty close to a return. So I think for change, we actually have some good news here coming into a very important part of our season in terms of the Europa League. The league is kind of a bit of a it's gone, but the Europa League is massive, and we're now starting to get players back into the team. Mason Mount's back from injury. Luke Shaw's training on grass, but Ahmad is a big return. If Ahmad can get back into the team in April, or at least be making on the bench, it gives us a massive chance when we play anyone this season to help us push forward and maybe get into the Europa League final, which is brilliant because we thought Ahmad was out for the season. The eye emojis have gone up. Fabrizio Romano was talking about it as well. So this is kind of what was said. Ahmad on Snapchat preparing for his comeback as soon as possible with the old eye emojis and the timer there. So that is brilliant to see. As I said, we haven't had tons of good news this year. This year, in fairness, it's been injury after injury. Martinez is still, I think he's probably the last of the big hitters that's maybe going to be out for a little while. But having Ahmad back, having potentially Mount and Shaw, if they can stay fit as options, whether they're on the bench or whether they're actually starting, gives us a huge boost, as well as kind of having maybe returning very soon, Yar returning soon, and Harry Maguire also returning soon. Just helps our bench, helps the main team, helps the first team, and it gives us a fighting chance in any of the sort of in the Europa League anyway. As I said, the league's kind of gone, but at least we can push up the league. We can bring these players back in, maybe get them minutes slowly, prepare them for those Europa League games. So I think that is brilliant news. I'm absolutely delighted to hear that Ahmad is on the return sooner than we thought. And it's just good news because, my God, we've suffered this season, and it is still, regardless of how the season is going to finish, take the Europa League out of it, it's still going to be our worst ever finish in Premier League history, which is awful. But if we can just polish it a little bit with the old Europa League, that would help us massively, especially financially, from the amount of money we would get from going back into the Champions League. I'm dreaming. It's a long way off. We've still got Leon to get past, who are going to be very difficult. Bilbao, potentially in the semis, which is going to be ridiculously hard. And then maybe a Lazio or a Spurs in the final. So there's a long way to go. I'm not getting carried away, but having Ahmad back is just another massive boost that we needed, especially in this kind of international window where things are quiet and you're just praying that there's good news rather than bad news. And so far, this is good news. So we'll gladly run with that. Now, we were talking about it, and it's been kind of coming around that Ruben Amorim wants a new goalkeeper. This is being reported by Samuel Luckhurst of the MEN. Now, Mr. Luckhurst is a very interesting character. He has some very interesting takes on Manchester United. He gets some very interesting insights into Manchester United, and I don't always agree with what he's been writing, but I do believe in this case he's actually probably right. I do believe that Ruben Amorim, we do know that we have been looking at the Lille goalkeeper, we have been looking at James Trafford, we have been looking at Suzuki from Parma as well. We are looking at alternative options to Onana and what we can do to bring maybe another goalkeeper in. I think there's even talk of Inder potentially leaving in the summer because he wants more first team opportunities. And we know Vitek is coming back from loan as well. So Manchester United have got players in terms of the goalkeeper market, to get rid of, but it does look like Ruben Amorim would like a new goalkeeper. Now, do you think he's going to get a new goalkeeper? I don't know. Do you think? And I should have asked, guys, what do you think about Ahmad returning? How do you feel about that? Does that give you, that gives me hope, but does that give you hope? Are you maybe believing that our season could be salvaged a little bit with the return of Ahmad? Only because for me, he was our player of the season. He was having, whether he was in the 10 or in the right wing, I felt he was having a brilliant season before he got injured. And, he would be a vital return for us. But get in the comments, subscribe below, right hand side of the screen if you're enjoying the content. Get your thoughts in. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you everybody who has been chipping in with comments. Really, really appreciate it so far. And if you're enjoying the content, hit the old like button too. That would really massively help me out. But yes, so Ruben Amorim and a new goalkeeper. As I said, we have looked at several younger prospects, and I do believe that is what we are considering at the minute, which is interesting. And I just hope that we do move for a goalkeeper, because I think it's a very important part in the department. People used to talk about strikers being key. Goalkeepers are also very key because they can save you between 10 and 15 points a season. Unfortunately, Onana has maybe give away a lot of that, especially in the Champions League last year. He has struggled this year. In patches, he's done well, but in the main, he's struggled with just the basics of goalkeeping. So if we do bring in another goalkeeper, it will be, I'd like to see that happen, at least to push Andre Onana into where he has to fight for the number one spot, and then maybe he could be kind of pushed on out of the club next year if that's what happens. Okay, and now we know this is sort of one contract we knew about. Victor Lindelöf and his contract situation. I'm very comfortable in Manchester United. I've been there for a long time, but it's the world's best league. I'll have to talk to everyone involved before going forward, because there is some talk that Victor Lindelöf his contract's up in the summer. I don't believe it'll be renewed. I don't believe there'll be an extension to it. I think his time's up. He will move on. There's talk of him going to Benfica. Unfortunately, we won't take any money from him because he'll go on a free. But we will reduce the wage bill by about £120,000 if we do manage to. If he, when he leaves, and I think it's the 30th of June is whenever those contracts expire, he will walk away. He has been a reasonable servant for the club. Unfortunately, he's just not quite been at that level. The Premier League's been very physical. He has struggled with the physicality at times. He has got pushed off the ball. Even in our last game against Leicester, he got pushed off the ball playing a centre-back. And a good player. I think if he went back to Benfica or he plays in another European league, I think he'll do very well. So wish him well. He's been a good servant for the club. He's done well. And just unfortunately, he just hasn't quite been at that level to help us push to where we needed to go. And this was just there was only a couple other bits to bring in here. Bruno Fernandes and Modric, someone's kind of put their statistics together, and Bruno's statistics against Modric is a legend of the game, an unbelievable servant for Real Madrid and Croatia, and obviously he was very, very important to Tottenham whenever he was in the Premier League. But you can see from the stats there, he is 578 games, 183 goals and 149 assists. Now he, in less games, he's done more than Luka Modric. I think the reason why Luka Modric would probably be, obviously Luka Modric's record in terms of things that he's won is phenomenal. 6 Champions Leagues. The guy is 39, going into his 40s. He is still playing the top level. When you see him come onto the pitch, he just oozes pure class. Now Bruno could replicate this as he got older. I think Bruno could be an excellent player because, as I said, Modric is used sparingly. Madrid don't use him all the time. Amazing player. Maybe Bruno can do that, and maybe he will be around, and maybe if we do ever have a title charge, maybe Bruno can be part of a team that is, in a different position, playing as a deep line midfielder maybe, and he could maybe do a job for us going forward as he gets a little bit older. But I just want to bring that in because people are saying Bruno is world class. If you're comparing him to Modric, he is, but maybe Modric has kind of done it at a higher level for a longer period of time. In the Champions League. Obviously, he's been in a better team. I totally understand that. But yeah, just interesting stats there that were coming out. And then the final story is kind of what we touched on yesterday. Manchester United will attempt to break double figures for permanent departures this summer. Now, do you guys think that Manchester United will get at least 10 players out the door? Now, some of these are quite easy. Evans will probably retire. Tom Heaton will maybe move on to another club, contracts up. Christian Eriksen, contracts up. Lindelöf, contracts up. So there's at least 4 players in that instance that are definitely going to go in the summer. And then you've got the likes of Rashford, Anthony, Sancho. There's 3 more that we're trying to move on that we know of. Casemiro's another one. So we are obviously trying to move on a lot of players in the summer, either release them and bring that wage bill down, or in Casemiro's case and Rashford's case, looking for suitable buyers to help, 1, bring in a little bit of money, and 2, also get some of those massive high earners off the wage bill, which will help us with PSR going forward. And maybe if we were able to do all these things, maybe we would have the opportunity to bring in an Osimhen or Gyökeres, but I don't know. That's going to be rumbling on, I think, for the entire season. Guys, that's your 10-minute roundup. Thank you very much for listening. I'm Keith, and if you would like to hit me a subscribe, bottom right hand corner of the screen. If you've stuck around to the end, unbelievable. Just a little bit on the, if you're trying to get a little channel like this monetized, you need 4,000 watch hours and you need 1,000 subscribers, and that's what I'm trying to get to. I'm a long way off it. I've only just kind of dipped my toe into this, so if you've stuck around to this very part, I am absolutely delighted. It means the world to me. And yeah, any and throwing in your comments below also helped me kind of grow the channel as well. So as I said, please get your comments in about anything we've looked at this morning. Really appreciate it. And yeah, I will see you tomorrow to do it all over again.